Have you ever been at a place where everyone's laughing, smiling, and dancing, but you feel invisible? That's how Emma felt that night. Her sister was getting married. The hall glowed with fairy lights, music filled the air, and love was everywhere. Everyone had someone except her. She sat at the corner table, clutching her napkin, pretending not to care. But inside, her heart ached, not just from loneliness, but from what her family had whispered about her all evening. Then, just as she was about to leave quietly, a deep voice from behind said, "Hey, act like you're with me." She turned, and standing there was a man holding a sleeping little boy in his arms, wearing the same kind of sadness she'd been hiding all along. And that's how everything changed that night. Stay with me till the end. Because this story will remind you how love doesn't always start with sparks. Sometimes, it begins with kindness. Emma adjusted her dress for the third time, hoping no one noticed she'd been sitting alone for over an hour. The wedding hall was glowing, golden chandeliers, floral arches, laughter echoing everywhere. Her younger sister Lydia looked like a dream in white. Emma smiled, proud of her. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a small ache refused to go away. Everywhere she looked, people were paired up, couples dancing, families chatting, groups posing for photos. Meanwhile, Emma's table, the one near the back corner, had been labeled extra guests. Her relatives had decided she'd be more comfortable alone. She wasn't angry, just tired. Tired of being called the quiet one, the single one, the career girl who never found love. She picked up her glass of water, trying to look busy as relatives passed by. Some gave polite smiles. Others whispered, "Poor thing, still alone." Her chest tightened. She'd promised herself she wouldn't cry tonight. It was her sister's big day after all. But when the music changed and couples started dancing, she felt her mask slipping. She wanted to leave. She didn't belong there, not in a room full of people who saw her as incomplete. As she stood up to go, a little boy ran past her, bumping into her chair. "Oh, I'm so sorry," came a man's voice right after. She turned, and for the first time that evening, someone was actually looking at her, not through her. He was tall, wearing a slightly wrinkled suit, holding a little boy in his arms, maybe 5 years old. His tie was crooked, his expression tired but kind. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," she said quickly, brushing off her dress. He smiled apologetically. "My son's a bit of a runner. He sees cake and forgets the rest of the world." The boy grinned sheepishly. "Sorry, lady," Emma laughed softly. "It's okay. Cake does that to people." The man laughed too, and for a second their eyes met. Both warm, both lonely. Then Emma noticed something. A group of people, her relatives that were watching her again, whispering. Their eyes said everything. Who's he? Why is she talking to him? Her stomach tightened. She wanted to disappear. And that's when he noticed too. He leaned closer and said quietly, "Hey, act like you're with me." She blinked. "What?" He smiled gently. "You look like you could use a break from those stairs." "I could too, so let's pretend we came together. Just for tonight." She hesitated. It was crazy, right? She didn't even know him. But the warmth in his voice wasn't pity. It was understanding. "All right," she said finally. "But you're buying me cake for this act." He chuckled. "Deal." They sat together, and instantly, everything changed. People who'd ignored her all night now looked twice. Her aunt's fake smile appeared, her cousin suddenly waved from across the hall. Emma could almost laugh. "I'm Daniel," he said, extending his hand. "And this is my son, Noah." "Emma," she replied, shaking it. "So, are you really supposed to be here, or did you just crash this wedding?" He grinned. "Technically, the groom's my coworker, but I don't know anyone else here." They talked. About the wedding, the food, the music, then about life. Daniel told her he was a single dad. His wife had passed away 3 years ago. He'd spent so long trying to be strong for his son that he'd forgotten what it felt like to just talk to someone. Emma listened, really listened. And when she shared how people kept judging her for being single, he looked at her like it wasn't something to be ashamed of. "Maybe you're just waiting for someone who deserves you," he said quietly. Her heart skipped. It wasn't flirtation. It was sincerity. As the night went on, they laughed, danced with little Noah between them, and for the first time in years, Emma felt seen, not as the single sister, but as someone who mattered. When the music slowed down, Daniel looked at her. "You know, this might sound strange, but I'm really glad we met tonight." Emma smiled softly. "Me too." And just like that, a lonely night became something she'd never forget. Emma woke up the next morning still thinking about the man from the wedding, Daniel. His words replayed in her mind. "Hey, act like you're with me." She smiled to herself. It wasn't the kind of line that usually changed someone's life. But somehow it had. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then picked up. "Hey, it's Daniel." From the wedding. His voice was warm, familiar already. I just wanted to make sure you got home safe last night." Emma felt a flutter in her chest. No one had asked her that in a long time. "Yeah," she said softly. "Thanks for checking and for saving me from a very long night of pretending not to exist." He chuckled on the other end. "You saved me too. I was this close to being trapped in a conversation about cryptocurrency with the groom's uncle." Emma laughed. It felt good to laugh. It had been a while since she'd felt seen, not out of pity, but connection. Before hanging up, he added quickly, "Hey, I was planning to take Noah to the park tomorrow morning. Maybe you'd like to join us? No pretending this time, just company." There was a pause, a moment of hesitation. Then she said yes. The park meeting. The next morning, the park was bright and filled with the chatter of children and the scent of fresh grass. Daniel sat on a bench, his sleeves rolled up, watching Noah chase a pigeon with delight. When Emma arrived, he stood up, brushing his hands awkwardly against his jeans. "You came." "Of course," she said, smiling. "You promised pancakes," he laughed. "Right, I did." They walked together to a small cafe near the park, where Noah insisted on extra syrup for his pancakes. The conversation flowed easily, light at first, then deeper. Daniel told her how he'd lost his wife, how hard it was to rebuild his life as a single father. "Some days I'm exhausted," he admitted. "Other days I'm just scared I'm not enough for him." Emma looked at him, eyes soft. "You're there. That's more than most." He looked at her in a way that made her heart pause. "And you? Why were you sitting alone that night?" She hesitated, then sighed. "My family, they mean well, but they think I'm incomplete because I'm single. I focus on my work and they take it as loneliness." He nodded slowly. People love labeling what they don't understand. That line stayed with her. They sat there for hours, laughing, teasing, sharing small pieces of their lives. When she left that day, Noah hugged her goodbye, his sticky pancake hands leaving syrup on her sleeve. And strangely, Emma didn't mind at all. Weeks turned to conversations over the next few weeks. Texts turned into calls, and calls turned into meetings. Sometimes at the park, sometimes at the cafe. Daniel would talk about his struggles, about bedtime tantrums, about missing his wife when he saw Noah smile the same way she used to. Emma would share how she felt invisible at family dinners, how she'd learned to eat quietly while everyone else asked her when she'd finally settle down. Their pain was different, yet somehow the same. One rainy afternoon, Daniel called her from outside her apartment. "Hey, it's pouring. I thought I'd bring you coffee. You mentioned hating rainy days alone." She opened the door, and there he was, hair dripping, holding 2 steaming cups. She laughed. "You're soaked." He shrugged. "Worth it." They sat by the window, watching the rain paint streaks on the glass. The silence between them wasn't awkward, it was peaceful. For the first time in years, Emma didn't feel lonely during a storm. A day that felt like family. A month later, Daniel invited her to Noah's 5th birthday party. She hesitated at first, she didn't want to intrude. But when Noah called her himself, shouting, "Emma, you have to come," she couldn't say no. The party was simple. Balloons, cake, laughter. But to Emma, it felt like something she hadn't known she was missing. Family. Daniel watched as she helped Noah blow out his candles, her eyes glowing in the candlelight. Later, after everyone left, they sat outside together under fairy lights. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For being here for him. For me. She smiled. You two saved me too, you know. I didn't realize how much I needed people until you both walked into my life. There was a pause, one that felt like the air before a confession. But Daniel didn't speak. Not yet. The family dinner. 2 months later, Emma's mother invited her to another family dinner. Normally, she'd find an excuse, but this time she didn't. When she arrived, she wasn't alone. Daniel and Noah walked beside her, carrying flowers and a cake. Her relatives froze in surprise. Whispers started immediately. Who's that? Is that her boyfriend? Emma took a deep breath. Everyone, she said calmly. This is Daniel. And this little one is Noah. Her mother blinked. Oh, you brought guests? Yes, Emma said, smiling. Family, actually.